But you were coming out of Wall Street and with none of this.
Well, I mean, radically different world I was
Yeah.
trying to fit myself into,
Yes.
and I didn't fit.
Yeah.
And, so I was new. I'd been a yoga teacher for a number of years, and don't remember exactly where I was in the process, but it was like this knowing was confirmed. This kind of internal knowing.
Wasn't that amazing?
Was confirmed. Yeah.
Who was that teacher?
I looked for him.
Was
later.
it a channel?
He was a channel of some kind of an angel. Don't even remember the name of the angel.
What a gift for you.
I went back. I did have a subsequent session with him, but
But that was a life-changing moment.
But that was a life-changing moment.
Oh.
That was a
You really
life-changing
got
moment.
who you are, right?
Yeah.
But let me ask you, not to take over the interview, but if
Are we allowed to do this?
Yes, we're allowed to do anything we want. If you would have stayed on Wall Street as a CPA, what do you think would have happened?
I've thought about that often. I would be dead now, or I
You
would have killed myself.
Why would you have been dead?
It was such a horrible life.
Why was it
Did you see the Leonardo DiCaprio movie, The Wolf of Wall Street?
Yeah.
That was it. I was on Wall Street during
he
those.
seemed like he was having a lot of fun, though.
Whew. That was not fun.
It wasn't fun for you. What was the most awful part of that job, though?
It's kind of a thankless experience. It's work. You know, you're there till all kinds of crazy hours of the day and night. You're pushing. I would sit in a conference room at 10 o'clock at night or 11 o'clock at night and say, like, nobody is being saved by what we're doing. We're not saving lives. We're not changing lives. We're not improving lives. What are we doing here?
And that was important to you, but it wasn't that important for other people, I guess, right?
I don't really know. I think that, you know, people go into the directions that they go for a vast number of reasons. You know, following in a family member's footsteps or being you know, guided in that direction. I was sort of indirectly guided in that direction.
But people do feel rewarded with a big paycheck. That's
Yes.
their reward.
But it's not a big paycheck when you're miserable.
It doesn't matter if it's a big enough paycheck. I mean, this is what people think, right? This
Go
is
ahead.
What. No, I'm thinking that most people don't care if they're miserable because the paycheck. They're just working for the paycheck, and if they're miserable for, you know, most of the week, then they can get to spend all their money they want.
Which is exactly what you do. So at some point I said, I'm working for all this money and I'm spending it all. I have absolutely nothing to show for it. And what did I get? I'm getting fat. I'm getting sick. I'm unhappy. I don't feel positive and uplifted and inspired about what I'm doing. And then each next level that I would increase in my, you know, in my credentials, I would be working for a more miserable and a more miserable and a more miserable person.
So you just would feel miserable all day long.
Which just made me feel miserable.
So they were miserable. They were miserable. They were miserable people
Absolutely.
Because why?
I don't know what their reasons were.
But you were miserable.
But it was clear that they were not happy.
So you were totally miserable.
And I was very unhappy.
How come you were able to feel that in other? I'm just curious. Why you got out, but why? I mean, there's hundreds of thousands of people still there.
I don't know.
But what's going on? I'm just curious. What's going on with them that they're not able or they don't want?
Well, I think people get trapped. I think they get trapped in a lifestyle. They get trapped in a, you know, in a particular. I mean, like Wolf of Wall Street, he was trapped in a lifestyle.
Right.
He was going after a particular lifestyle that he achieved.
Right.
And then it just eats you up.
But people are. I mean, you're lucky. You're one of the lucky ones.
I'm very lucky.
But you also had the spirit that got you out. I don't know why. I mean, maybe your job is to save all those people on Wall Street.
All of them. No, I don't know about
because they're so locked into a very limited belief system that they don't even think it's possible to live any other way. I think you knew that there was. I think that was what was different about you. You knew you were miserable.
Yeah.
And most people don't.
So for me, that experience you talked about when you were 2 years old and something stopping you and feeling conscious of the consciousness, I feel like I've always had that. Like I think I have lived my whole life in dissociation.
Most
watching.
people do.
No, watching.
Watching you from a higher place.
Watching myself from a higher place.
Right.
And so there's the experience of being in it, but there's also this other experience of watching the experience that's happening.
I think I've lived that way too, but I think now is the chance to embody it. I think we don't have to just watch it. We can fully embody incarnation. That's what Paul Selig's work is about.
Tell me, I'm
Paul
interested
Selig?
in him. I saw him a little bit on
Yeah, you should see him. He
I wanna
talks
watch
about
him.
incarnation. He says we're not becoming our higher self, which is that observer. The higher self is becoming us. We're becoming fully embodied with all the sensitivity and all that feeling and love that we've always had, but now we're here to live that expression in the world. So I think that is the big shift we're in right now.
So we're basically allowing the higher self to drop into us, into
the higher self has
form?
always been us.
Okay.
We're allowing, you know how, I know what you mean when you say you've always been up here observing it. I think that's why we connect in that way, because I've always felt that too. But now I think it's like the time to not be just the observer, but to be in it, to fully be in it as conscious beings looking out. So we're not just painting the painting, we're in the painting in a new way, in a way that I don't think has existed before.
I think you're so right, Alan. I think you're so smart.
I don't really know what I'm saying.
No, because what you're saying makes sense, because that's been the greatest challenge.
Which part?
Well,
Embodied.
the get in the body part.
Well, that's what we're here to do.
Get in the body and live.
And live, but be conscious of that.
Right.
Don't lose the connection.